Welcome to Designing Digital by SPINX. My name is Lisa and I am here with Valerie today. How's it going, Valerie?
Hey, Lisa. Going very, very well. Thank you. How about yourself?
Awesome. I have had a busy day so far, but I'm doing good now. I'm excited to jump on here and do a part 4 to this mini series that we've been doing about law firm website design. We have just been talking, but having all kinds of fun getting into some of the nitty-gritty details of what we do when we work with our law firm clients. Before I go into too much about that, I want to take a half a step back and just introduce ourselves a little bit more and talk about SPINX a little bit more. So this is a podcast put on by SPINX Digital, which is a digital marketing agency located in downtown Los Angeles. We work with clients in all different industries, so not just within the legal or with law firms, but we work with clients in healthcare, in retail, in manufacturing, in entertainment. There are so many industries that we have, worked with clients, helped them improve their online presence, both through their website and then through online marketing efforts as well. And making sure that their digital presence really represents their brand and speaks to who they are as a company. So my name is Lisa. I am the Director of Creative and Strategy at SPINX, which means I do a lot of hands-on work with the production part of our project. So I'm overseeing a lot of the strategy creation and doing a lot of user experience activities and thinking about how people are going to be interacting with whatever we are creating, whether it is a website or marketing collateral, so on and so forth. I am responsible for heading up if we're doing any sort of user testing as well. We can do usability testing, tree tests, card sorts, all kinds of different tests that help guide the overall solution and strategy that we recommend to clients. I also am very hands-on in the design phase as well and give a lot of design and creative direction and ensure that the strategy and the solution we are recommending to our clients is an intentional one. It's one that is focused on solving their pain points. It's one that's focused on helping them accomplish their goals and ultimately representing their company and their brand in the best possible light. So that's a little bit about me. Valerie, can you tell anyone who's listening a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, Lisa. So my name is Valerie, and I wear 2 main hats in the SPINX organization. I am an account executive, which means I will often be the first point of contact. I get to have those first conversations with our clients, really starting to craft a strategy for how to accomplish those business goals that you just mentioned, Lisa. Then I switch hats to, I'm also a senior project manager here at SPINX, which means that I am responsible for kind of running points. So kind of managing communications between our client team and our internal team, really taking the project through those major milestones and taking it across the finish line to launch. My role is very exciting and very fun, and I love it.
It is. Absolutely. And I've got to say to anyone who gets the absolute honor of working with Valerie too, can rest assured that she is going to make sure that your project goals get accomplished, that everything is going to be handled smoothly, and she's just fantastic at everything that she does.
So are you. I know we're gonna get into some nitty gritty. So we're going to get to enjoy some of your expertise here now. So let us jump in, shall we?
Yes. So this is a part 4 of this mini series we've been doing, talking specifically about law firm websites. If you haven't got the past 3 episodes, definitely go and check those out. We dive deep into talking about target audience that we've noticed for the websites that we build for law firms. We talk about how to find and really what the overarching goals are. For these projects. We dive deep into what are the most important sections on a website for a law firm. And we have a lot of data-backed tactics and strategies for which sections are, priority on this site, and which ones we would recommend you focus on kind of first and foremost with that. We talk about the power of social proof and how to integrate that onto a law firm website. And we also get to talk about kind of the fun side of designing things out and really that impact of design language. So check those out. Today, we are going to dive into kind of some of the behind the scenes stuff, I guess you could say, something that you're not actually maybe seeing with your eyes, but something that is equally important to think about and consider when you are creating a law firm site. So the first thing we're going to talk about is accessibility. So this is a huge, very important thing that with any website, really, not just with law firm sites, but with any website, you want to make sure that you are creating this site to be user-friendly and accessible to everyone. So this is something where you want to think about everything from, are you designing things where there's enough color contrast so that it is going to be usable by everybody? Are you designing things where the font sizing works and is readable by everyone? Something that we pay very close attention to is that font sizing, making sure the fonts are going to be large enough so that you don't have to kind of bring your phone in and out and trombone it to read it, or pinch and zoom if you're on a mobile, like smaller device. And this kind of overlaps a little bit into the responsive programming that we were talking about, that responsive design that we talked about in episode 3 of this mini series. But even for something where, when you're thinking about your target audience, it kind of even regardless of who that is, you do want to make sure that if anybody has any sort of visual impairment, that they are able to read your text and it is clear. So you want to have text that is larger, legible, something that's not in a crazy wild font. I would hope that would be something that is kind of standard and people wouldn't do, but sometimes, just doing that double check and making sure your fonts are they're easy to read when people are reading the content on your site is very important. We also consider and look into things from a programming standpoint as well. We want to make sure that if anybody's coming to this site and they're using a screen reader, we want to make sure we are including proper alt tags, proper image tags, the ability to add those things through a content management system. So as you're adding content to the site in the future, you're also able to take care of those things and make sure your site remains accessible for everyone. There are so many different things that go into this, and there are a couple of different ways you can handle it. There is kind of the design approach that you want to take, where you're considering contrasting colors and making sure there is enough contrast there. So if someone is colorblind, they're still able to read copy, and use the site, even without their color blindness impairing their experience on your site. So there's that side of things from the design standpoint. But there are also tools that can be used. There's a really great kind of third-party tool that can be installed on your site that will do a scan once your site is developed, and it will point out if there are any areas where it could become a potential problem. And it allows you to fix those things, before the site goes live, and then it allows you to keep an eye on it in the future. And it's also really cool because it provides a toolbar as well for people using the site, where if they do need the font size increased to make it easier for them to read things, they are able to use this toolbar, and the toolbar automatically increases the font size just for them. It can adjust the color contrast for them. It can change your site so that maybe if somebody is epileptic and there's some movement on your site that might cause an issue for them, it allows them to kind of turn these things off and really personalize and cater this experience for them so they are able to use your site easily. They have a positive experience. It's not something that's going to leave them feeling distressed or frustrated or uncared for, basically.
Yeah, I mean, this is a broader, extension of just general user experience best practices. So we're trying to accommodate for as many people as possible. We want to make sure that as many people that might come to the site have a positive user experience and are able to access your content. So it's really about providing the content that you've placed on the site to as many people as possible. You mentioned things like alt text on images. So if somebody is unable to see an image, we need to be able to have a text version of the image read. Same goes for videos, some kind of caption on videos so that people can still consume that content. Also things that are really common, forms, which are really common on a website. Making sure that there are labels on that form so that a screen reader can actually read it.
Yes.
And then this also goes to, so there's visual, differences in people's vision. There's also differences in, motor abilities. And so making sure that there are, keyboard accessible navigation elements to a website so that somebody isn't limited to only being able to access areas of the site by mouse, things like that. So there's, Lisa, you mentioned there are tools out there. There's really incredible software out there that we use with our clients to integrate this type of accessibility programming to the site so that users can really pick and choose what they need and what would help them to see, to experience, and to access the content on a given website. It's really incredible. Some of the software it's amazing and it works so well. And it's really just about enhancing the user experience for as many people as possible.
Exactly. And like you were saying, there is incredible software and tools that we leverage for clients that we work with. And it's truly amazing because it allows the tool to make these adjustments to your site without you having to hand code every single thing, which would take a lot of time and a lot of resources. They have things like seizure-safe profiles built into this, vision-impaired profiles, ADHD-friendly profiles to allow people to have more focus and provide fewer distractions on the site. They have a profile kind of preset for anyone who might have a cognitive disability. They have keyboard navigation, like you said, which really addresses if there's any motor impairments or anything like that. And there is a blind user profile as well, which allows screen readers to come in and really help them to have an optimized experience and a good experience on your site. And then there's also all kinds of just individual settings outside of those preset profiles that they've created that just make it easier for people to interact with your site and use your site. And things like this take and make accessibility something that it is just so easy for you to provide that accessible experience for anyone coming to your site.
Absolutely.
So with that, I'm going to shift a little bit into another item that is a little bit behind the scenes. This one might be a little bit more front and center, but it has to deal with the data privacy side of things. So if a site is grabbing or observing user behavior, or if there are forms on the site that people are filling out where people are submitting their personally identifiable information to you, this is something you need to worry about. So it can be from something as simple as Google Analytics tracking user behavior. This is something you still have to kind of think about and worry about and disclose exactly what you are tracking and what you do with that data. If you're collecting information, you need to disclose what you're collecting. If you're sharing it with any third parties, you need to give people an option to opt out of that collection. You need to give people an option to contact you to find out exactly what information you may have about them. And all of this has really come about within the past handful of years. And the big push around kind of this whole data privacy side of things and putting the power into the hands of people, so consumers who are using websites, was first GDPR, which was the massive set of laws that was passed in Europe to kind of guide these. And this would apply to any law firms that have a global presence, that have any offices within Europe. They will need to make sure that their sites are compliant and provide all of these things for people who are using their site. And then following that was CCPA, which was passed in California. And that is kind of California's set of privacy laws, which impact law firms who have a location in California. There are some income limitations. So if it is like a smaller boutique firm, it might not meet those income requirements to have kind of these things in place. But it's still at the same time recommended as a way to put yourself forward as a trustworthy law firm to have these things in place where you are disclosing what data you're collecting about people, how you're storing this, if you're sharing it. And it's really just an opportunity for law firms and any business really to be transparent about these things and show that you really have nothing to hide.
Absolutely. This is definitely kind of a hot button topic. It's something that comes up a lot in conversation when I have the honor of speaking with a client for the first time, and we're kind of initially discussing what kind of a design direction we'll take, what are the goals of this project. This is coming up a lot because there certainly have been violations of people's privacy. It's an issue that we're all aware of, we're sensitive to, we're skeptical. You know, we're somewhere on the spectrum of kind of curious to skeptical of companies and what they're doing with our data, in an effort to really advocate, or for our clients to advocate for their users, for the people who are coming to their website to, like you said, earn their trust. This is a really, really great way to do it. This is again about user experience. So we are putting right up front and center, this is exactly why, if we are tracking, this is why. Obviously with our clients, when we discussed in part 2, if you're joining us after having listened to the beginning of this mini series, we talked a lot about tracking, about analytics. That data we're using in order to enhance the user experience. We're learning what it is our clients' users want to see on their websites. It's important for our clients to put that out there for those users. That's exactly, if they are tracking, that is why. It's not that we're trying to sell that information. And that's where people, that's where, when we come and we're skeptical, that's why, because we have heard about breaches of privacy like that. There have been big cases in the news and so forth where we are all kind of, wading through that right now as web browsers and users ourselves. The consumer side, we're all in the same boat as far as that goes. And so these privacy, laws that have been passed, internet privacy specific laws that have been passed, again, like you said, this is just another opportunity really for you to help build that trust through your website with users who come, being transparent and being upfront. Not to mention, this is truly a legal issue at this point.
Yes.
So these are laws that we have to follow for a reason. And so it's something that definitely comes up a lot. It's something that's very much on our radar, and it's something that is part of our, default sort of baseline practices now with every website we build for our clients.
Yes, exactly. And I should mention too, along with disclosing what you're tracking, why you're tracking it, giving that reasoning, giving people the option to reach out to find out exactly what information you have on them. Also, while they're on the site, providing them the option to opt out of that tracking, if that's what they want. And again, there are tools that allow us to implement this on sites in a way that is pretty seamless, and it gives people coming to the site options where they can okay all the tracking. They can opt out of everything except for maybe essential tracking. Or there's other settings where they can opt out of certain types of tracking depending on what their preferences are. Mm-hmm. So there are tools that we can leverage and that we do leverage for our clients that make something like this an easier thing to implement. But again, it's so important to implement this on your website for that trust and that credibility factor. All right, so let's talk a little bit about another item that's a bit behind the scenes. Again, there's some overlap. There's some things that are visuals on the site or visible on the site, and that's SEO. So SEO is a huge topic. It's
huge topic,
very broad. We will do our best to cover it in the next handful of minutes, but I mean, I could go a whole hour or more just talking about SEO. I don't know about you, Valerie.
I have often gone an hour or longer speaking about SEO with clients. It's a very, very it's a well-known acronym. It's definitely the most well-known acronym in my universe, as far as, when I have conversations with clients, but I feel very misunderstood as far as kind of the state of it today and how things work, and how it can be leveraged in a marketing strategy. But yes, definitely, it's on very, very top people's minds.
Yes, it's funny you say it's one of the most well-known acronyms, but at the same time, it's also unknown because there's always kind of this air of mystery surrounding it because nobody knows exactly how the algorithms work. And there's certain things that companies like Google will disclose, but then other things they don't disclose because they don't want people to game the system. Yes. So when it comes to SEO,
let me really quickly, only because this is something that comes up. You just mentioned Google, a search engine. We should probably say, for anyone who doesn't know, SEO stands for search engine optimization. So just from a very, very high level, usually when people say SEO, they're referring to they want their website to be at the top of Google when people do a search.
Yes.
The big question, of course, is then what search? So that's where the conversation gets long, but I'll let you continue.
Yes. And thank you for providing that overarching definition to kind of kick off the conversation, because sometimes it's hard to know exactly where to start when talking about this, because there are so many things that play a role in where a company might show up in a Google search specifically. Mm-hmm. A lot of the things that you do also impact other search engines. So if someone's using Bing or Yahoo or any of the other search engines that are out there, then a lot of these same things apply to them. Google is the monster in this space, though. So again, when people are talking about showing up in search results, most of the time they are talking about showing up in Google search results, because it is so it's dominant. It's so dominant. It has it has the
market share is just completely overwhelming. So
the biggest share of the market compared to everybody else. It is completely overwhelming. Right. However, with the rise of ChatGPT, some of that might be shifting in the future. But let's talk just about SEO right now. So when it comes to SEO, there are several different things that you can do to improve your SEO. So some of those things tie directly into the content. When I say content on your site, I'm specifically talking about text content. So any words that are on your site that you're writing that people are then reading. So that is one thing that plays into how your site ranks are the actual words that you use, and specifically keywords that you may or may not be targeting on this site. And with those keywords, those are really what Google is looking at and has looked at in the past to rank sites. And Google, since, it's evolved so much over the past 10, 15 years where, people used to be able to keyword stuff to get that top ranking. That is definitely not the case anymore. But keywords do still play a percentage role into overall rankings. So making sure you are targeting your page content around the right keywords or even topics that are relevant to your audience is kind of one of the first places to start. Another thing that goes into SEO is site performance. So is your site loading quickly? This is a huge, huge thing that Google has placed more emphasis on recently, is that page speed, that page load speed. They want to make sure that you're not making people wait more than 2 seconds, maybe tops, to load the content for them to be able to consume that. And they have, it's been shown that they give preference to sites that load quickly over sites that might load a little bit slowly. So something like this, there's a big impact in how the site is developed overall. That impacts the page load speed. But then when you're also thinking about the design side of things, the number of images on a page, and the number of videos, if you're hosting the videos on the site, that can greatly impact your page load speed. The number of animations you might be using and what type of animations you're using on the site can impact page load speed. So if you're hosting images and video on your site, or if you're utilizing other tools like maybe a content delivery network, that can greatly impact your page load speed. So page load speed is another thing. Another aspect of it, also tied into the programming side of things, is making sure you're using the correct markup and syntax, the correct HTML tags, so that when a search engine is looking over the code of your site, it knows what is on your site. So making sure you are structuring pages correctly with your proper H classes, making sure that you are using the proper tags like image tags. There's a lot that goes into writing code in a way that is clean and allows Google to understand what type of content it's looking at. There are different tags that you can use to say what type of page is on your site. So you can tell Google, hey, this is an attorney bio page. Hey, this is an office detail page or an office location page. And that just gives Google more information. So a lot of these things, again, you're not seeing this with a visible, like with your eye, unless you're actually going in and reading the code on your site. But it's stuff that our programmers will add to the site to make sure that Google understands exactly what it's looking at when it is looking at your site code. There are other things, so things like page titles, meta descriptions, which is just another place where you're letting Google know, hey, this is what this page is, and this is the type of content that's on this page. Again, you want to make sure when you're creating content, you're creating it intentionally, and you're focusing on things that your users or your visitors will actually be searching for. You're helping them to find that information. So likely there's going to be important keywords that they're searching for in these things like your page title and your meta description. Then there is the whole play of kind of more like regional SEO. So if you are like a regional based firm, or even for, your offices, adding those locations to Google's business directory and making sure that things are kind of tied back to your website that way can also help you appear in kind of those more localized or regional searches and surface your firm in those areas. There is a very kind of place specific part to the Google search too, where if people are searching for services and they're located in a certain area, Google will give preference to businesses that are located in that area close to them, as opposed to a company or law firm that is all the way across the country from them. So there's that thing to think about too when it comes to SEO, that plays a role. Am I forgetting anything, Valerie?
Oh, it's such a huge topic. You've hit a lot of them, definitely. I think once we get into kind of the off-site. So what we've spoken about, what Lisa's spoken about so far, is the on-site SEO kind of strategies, tactics, the methodology. On-site meaning what we do have control over, with the way the site is programmed, with the way that the site what keywords, for example, as you mentioned, that we use, things like that, things that we can do on the website itself. Then there's just offsite SEO, which is, we are going to definitely have to do an episode on just SEO.
Yes.
As far as on site, I believe you mentioned them all. I think the big, one of the questions I'm asked very often when clients come and they first kind of, they mention SEO often, it's obviously, it's one of the best ways to get traffic to your site, or rather it's one of the highest quality forms of traffic there is. Somebody who actually took the time to actively search for either your firm specifically by name, or for your services and what you have to offer, whether that is a practice area in a location. You mentioned kind of geolocation, kind of targeted local SEO, or searching a particular attorney within the firm, or, something, a case type or something like that. We have to kind of think about what is it that people would actually go and type in to try to find the service that you have to offer, and the value that you'd bring to the table if they find you. One of the things that just very, very high level, because it is, like you said, kind of a mystery. SEO is one of these things that's a little bit nebulous, and that's because we don't know exactly how Google's algorithm changes at any given moment. None of us fully do. So one of the things that I think helps when I'm working with clients to break this down is the fact that Google is not like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. There isn't a person that is reading every piece of content on everybody's website. It's this is something that's programmed, which means we have to do our best, and it's marketing agencies like ours that work to really understand how that algorithm works, so that we can understand how Google actually sees our clients' websites. It isn't so when you speak about text, for example, when you said content means text. Remember that, let's say you have a image on your website that has some text on it. Google, which is really just a bunch of zeros and ones, cannot read that word that is on the image. So it is a lot about the way that the website is built. And there's kind of two sides to this. And I think the thing about SEO, and the reason that it's always a conversation that I love to have so much, Google has a stake in all of this, right? If Google is to remain kind of, the most dominant search engine on the market, it needs to understand how to figure out how to provide the best content to a user that does a search. If a user does a search for something, they ask a question to Google, or they type in some keywords to Google, and Google provides them with all of the wrong information. The user goes and clicks through, and nothing is answering this question. Nothing is aligned with what it was they were looking for. Google is going to sink as a search engine and as a business. So Google has had to, over these years, done the absolute best it can to figure out how to provide the best content. And our job is to kind of keep up with what are those cues Google's looking for? What is it that Google sees about a particular website that deems it worthy to show somebody who does a particular search? And so there are many ways that Google does, there are things that factor into this nebulous algorithm that we keep talking about. And I think, from being in this industry for really since the birth of Google, I feel like over these years, what's happening really is, again, SEO at this stage has really become about best practices, best user experience practices.
Yes. Yes.
Does the site load fast? It matters to people.
Yep.
Is everything legible? Is the content actually of value?
Yes.
Are people lingering and actually spending some time interacting with this content? Google's looking at, are people jumping around from page to page and spending some time? Are they digging deeper into this, or are they just leaving? When like I said, Google has a stake in it. If somebody lands on a website and immediately leaves, Google knows that means that was a bad result. They served up a bad result. They gave that person an answer and it was the wrong answer and they left. Are people out there sharing the site? So this is where the off-site SEO comes in. Are people sharing it? That's what we do now. That's that's how we work online now. We send links out to people, or we bookmark things, or we email people things. We post them on social media. These kinds of things all factor in to this, mystery algorithm. And when you really unpack it, this is about providing excellent content to people. It just boils down to, and just as any great marketing campaign is, it's just best practices. It's really kind of that simple in a way. But obviously, as technology changes, Google Google has to respond to that too. So things like site speed, responsive design is a huge one that has changed the algorithm completely, because if I can't see your website on a phone, it might as well not exist. And Google knows that that's important to people. And so the search engines have responded by only ranking, those sites that are responsive, because we all know we visit these sites on our phones, we visit them on tablets, we might access a website from a different device that if it isn't optimized for it, we're just going to leave it. And so all this kind of, in my opinion, it all really just boils down to great marketing, which at the end of the day is providing a great user experience.
Yes, great user experience, which I think ties hand in hand with just that valuable content piece you mentioned too. And I'm so glad you brought up that user experience side of things that is now part of what Google is looking at, because it is important. And I think that's also really where we can offer a lot of value to the clients that we work with from the design side of things, understanding, okay, how do we lay out sites so that it is going to provide a good user experience? How can we position content on the site so people get what they're looking for? It's at their fingertips when they need it. We have options for them to jump to other pages easily. They can use the navigation because it's laid out in a way that is simple and allows them to find exactly what they're looking for. All these things go into that great user experience piece that Google is looking at to see, are people actually engaging with your site, or are they going somewhere else? So that is huge. That is just so big right now. That user experience piece and how Google looks at that and considers that when it comes to where it ranks a site in their search results. So SEO, you mentioned too, SEO being just one of the best ways to get traffic to your site. And when it's done, when the content is done well, and we've seen when a law firm provides that valuable content, this is one of the most cost-effective ways to get people to their site too, and to spread the word about their firm. There are other ways that firms can get people to their site that ties into kind of that valuable content piece. There's other online marketing efforts, such as the social media marketing. I think when it comes to law firms, LinkedIn is a great choice for that social media marketing piece, because it tends to have that more professional, presence, and it encourages the professional connections on there. But then providing, even when you're doing social media marketing, one of the most important pieces is still thinking about what am I posting that is providing value to people? Things like webinars, multimedia assets that are engaging for people to either watch or listen to. So videos, podcasts, all of these things are great to be posting up, not just on the website, but posting up to social media outlets as well. And then there's just general paid advertising too, which is a whole nother deep bucket we won't get into at this moment. But
Right.
there are so many different marketing efforts that can be used to bring people to your site, that can be used to raise the awareness and that brand perception of your firm that we work with our clients with every day.
Absolutely. I think this part 4 was all about kind of meeting people where they are. So increasing accessibility, right? We want to make sure that as many people as possible are able to access our clients' websites. We want to make sure that they have a great experience, that everybody has a great experience, right? We want to make sure if they search for us, that they can find us. And
yes,
we give them great content so that they see what we're capable of and that we're a great fit.
Yes.
I'm saying we just because usually in the role that I play working with clients, I do think of us as partners, and I'm talking about our clients. So a law firm's website, we, the law firm, we want to make sure people see how experienced we are, how capable we are, and what we can do for you, right? This is just best practices. And in the case of all the other marketing channels, things like LinkedIn, as you said, or, in some cases, we have law firms that have a presence on like Facebook, Instagram. Again, it's meeting people where they are. YouTube, that's a huge one. Providing video content. We
considering
all love
that
video
that
content.
target audience.
Yeah, exactly. Who is the audience? Where are they? And how can we reach out to them? How can we make our content available to them, and in what format? What is the format that will work best for them? So it's really just providing, again, that great user experience, which ties right back into kind of where we started, which is about bridging, that gap between who are you as a firm, what do you represent, what is it that you want to convey to your target audience, and then how will that target audience, perceive you, and what is it that they are looking for? What are their goals, and where is the bridge there, the partnership between them? So it's about really kind of messaging and branding and marketing, and all of this ties back into the website and how we're able to put that across to our clients.
Yes. Exactly. And if there are any law firms listening, or really any business, because we work with businesses across all industries, but if this is something where you want to talk to somebody about how is your site? Where are your pain points on your site? Is it performing the way that you want it to perform, or does it need, are there improvements that you would like to make to it? This is an area where we love jumping in and partnering with our clients and really figuring out the best way to present themselves online through their website, through any marketing materials. So definitely reach out to us. You can find us online. You can do a Google search. We should show up on that Google search. And if you search for our agency name, it's SPINX, which is spelled SPINX Digital. Or you can go to our website, spinxdigital.com, and you can find us there. You can learn a little bit more about us and who we are, some of the clients we've worked with. You can look at some of our past work. But we would love to have a conversation with you and just talk about, where are you at right now? Where does it feel like maybe your online presence isn't aligned with who your company is, with what you want your brand to, how you want your brand to be perceived to your potential clients? So we would love to have that conversation with you.
Absolutely. I always love doing just an initial audit too, and just discussing your firm, what your goals are online, how you'd like to be perceived, and the ideal types of clients that you'd like to work with, or maybe even, partners that might join the team that you'd like to attract to the site, to the firm. I love that first conversation, just talking strategy, ideas, and goals. So reach out. We'd love to chat.
Absolutely. And with that, this wraps up our mini series. It took us 4 episodes to get through it all, Valerie, but we did it. Yeah, we did it. It's been fun chatting about law firm websites specifically, because there are so many things that are so specific to the way that we approach the design and development of a law firm website. So hopefully some of this was helpful. Hopefully some of it was informative and hopefully educational. But until next time, thank you all for listening.